Almighty has created for nothing. There are some of us, we say that what is the purpose of creating the fleas? What is the purpose of creating the lice in the head? That is human lice. What is the purpose of creating the mosquitoes? We say that. But each and every one of them has a purpose. God Almighty has created everything for a purpose. Brothers and sisters, as human beings, there are three main objectives that we have upon. And this is the mantra of the politician. If you go to India and in Pakistan, there are these three phrases: roti, kapra, or makan. That is to say, food, clothing, and shelter. Each and every human being, we require food so that it may sustain us. We need that for our sustenance. Stop eating, and what will happen to you? You will stop breathing, and your end will be proclaimed. Brothers and sisters, therefore we need, in order to eat, in order to live, we need to eat. Then God Almighty has also mentioned this in terms of clothing or embellishment. We need that. All of us seated here, we have clothed ourselves properly. Why do we do that? There is a purpose. And the object is to cover our nakedness. And the other is also to, indeed, as a source of embellishment, to become more handsome or beautiful. Brothers and sisters, then we talk about Makan. That is where we live. If we do not have a place of abode, what will happen to us? In terms of the elements, we will suffer greatly. And so we have a place. Brothers and sisters, in each and everything that we do, it has a purpose. Then why don't we think about, as human beings, our own purpose here on earth is for something very important, rather than gallivanting day in and day out, eating, sleeping, talking, and doing things that are completely unacceptable as far as godly consciousness is concerned. Brothers and sisters, we as humans, we have been told that we are created for the purpose of the realization of God Almighty. By gravitating towards Him, knowing Him, worshipping Him, serving Him, and making obeisance to Him. We have been created in the image of God Almighty. Without Him, we can never survive. We will become simply like animals. Hence, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is reported to have said, imbue within yourself the true attributes of God Almighty. Become like God Almighty. Hence, other people think that when God Almighty says that He has created us in His own image, we have to be worshipped as how we worship God Almighty. That is not what it means. What it means is we should assimilate within ourselves the true object of our own creation, and that is the godly consciousness. As God is loving, we should also try to love God Almighty and love our fellow human being. This is what it means. Brothers and sisters, let me cite a very short story for you. There was a man who was very, very hungry, and he went from door to door begging for food because he was hungry. He went to the door of a very rich person, and when he knocked on the door, the rich person's servant came out and gave him 3 breads, or 3 rotis. And so this man was very happy. He took the rotis and quickly, he said, the man has made his day. And so he wanted to eat. Immediately, the rich man's dog saw him and he started howling at him. He ran towards him and started barking furiously. And when he did that, the poor man turned to the dog and said to him, I came to the doorstep of your your master. He sees you are hungry. He gave me 3 rotis. Here, take 1. And I will take the 2. And so the dog ate the roti hurriedly. And the man walked home. But the dog didn't leave him. He again howled at him. He barked. And the poor man looked at him and then said, I have given you 1 roti, 2 remaining for me. This also you want? Okay, maybe you are more hungry than I do. Let me give you 1 more. And so he gave him 1 more roti. And the dog ate it very hurriedly. Immediately after he has eaten the roti, he started barking again at the poor man. And the poor man spoke to him with so much of intent, looking him into the eyes, and then said, you shameless dog, I have been hungry for so many days, and I came to the doorstep of your master. He gave me 3 rotis. I gave you 1, and yet you were asking for more. And I gave you another, and you were still not satisfied. And therefore, what I'm doing to you now, you are shameless. Take this last one. I will go on an empty stomach. The dog, this story is in Testament. There are older sayings of the saints. The dog turned to him and then said, who is shameless? You or I? This is my master. I have sat all the time at his doorstep. Whether it rains or it shines, I am here. I do not go anywhere. But look at you. You are hungry for some few moments. And now your stomach is in your hand and begging all over the place. As for me, I know where my master is. Where is your master? Do you know who is your master at all? Brothers and sisters, this story, it is not just a story. It is indeed pregnant with so much of meaning. It is filled with so much of wisdom and philosophy. Unless and until we come to the realization, the world is looking for peace, but peace, it is at arm's length. Peace is within ourselves. We have to love ourselves. Love one another. By worshiping God Almighty, we will be able to love ourselves too. Our motto, we members of the Jamaat Ahmadiyya, our motto is love for all, hatred for none. If we love God Almighty, then we may as well love His creation. For if you claim to love God Almighty and you hate mankind by torturing them, by using act of terrorism against them, then you love no God. There is no sign that you love God Almighty. Brothers and sisters, after patiently listening to all my deliberations regarding the object of the creation of man, what is your next step? Are you prepared to bring about a meaningful transformation in yourselves and thereby gravitate towards Allah and serve mankind with love and affection? If the answer is yes, then we must start right away, for time is not on our side. For your kind information, I am an Ahmadi Muslim, and I have firmly believed in all the prophets and messengers of Allah Azza wa Jalla, who were sent to the world to broadcast this very Princeton message which you have just heard. I also firmly believe in the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who gave the glad tidings about the reformer of the age and the guided one. The reformer of the age, whose name is Hazrat Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani alayhi salam, whose advent has been forecast by all the major religions of the world for the unification of all mankind, has indeed made his advent. We are members of his community. I therefore take this golden opportunity to invite